We are having various vice chancellors plus various international stalwarts. So better everyone be in the session. It will be very beneficial to
Yes.
all of us.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I welcome you to the plenary session in which we have internationally acclaimed, renowned speakers who would be throwing light on various aspects of the philosophy of Hindu religion. With us, we have Professor Neeraja Gupta, Professor Ramnath Jha, Shri Baldev Das, Professor Shubhada Joshi, who would be throwing light on the various dimensions. The first person whom I would like to invite over here is Professor Neeraja Gupta, who is the present Vice Chancellor of Sanchi University of Buddhist Indic Studies, Bhopal. It indeed is a pleasure for me to introduce such a renowned personality who has not only authored more than 21 books, but who also is trained in classical dance, that is Kathak, as well as music. Now, when I speak of Professor Neeraja Gupta, she also is a person who knows as many as 9 Indian languages, which includes Hindi, Sanskrit, Gujarati, Bengali, Assamese, Marathi, Oriya, Punjabi, and along with that, she can speak English, Russian, and Greek. Now, the importance of knowing so many languages, my dear friends, is that the more we know the different languages, it adds a better and a greater dimension to our understanding and the perspective of the world. She has been appointed and nominated member in several states of India and prestigious universities as advisor or as executive or academic council member, advisor, chair of research panels. She has also served at Meerut University, Mumbai University, SNDT University, Assam University, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Ahmedabad, Gujarat University, and Sanchi University. Under her guidance, there have been many research scholars who are disseminating information, knowledge, and wisdom which they have gained with their close proximity to Nirjaji. She has been invited to as many as 42 countries and by governments of different countries of the world. She is also an expert in the studies of Mahabharata and Ramayana, the epics, the great scriptures of Hindu religion. For the various work that she continues to give to the society, she has been awarded and her achievements have been recognized by various awards which have been conferred on her. She has received the Shiksha Bharati Puraskar as well as the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Rashtriya Samman for her contribution in diaspora studies. Along with that, she also has the National Talent Search Award 2020 and many such more in her bag. She has many appointments which has been conferred to her by the government of India. I will just name a few. For example, she has been a member of the Interreligious Dialogue Committee, which has been formed by Reverend Pope in Vatican City, and she has been a representative of Hindu Dharma over there. She is also a spokesperson on CAA. She is also the International Academic Chair for Global Organization of People of Indian Origin. Now, with all the achievements and with all her contribution, we indeed have a person over here who would be giving us a very different perspective, a very interesting and a very informative perspective on Hindu religion. Along with that, she is also engaged in various disaster management and social service. So when I look at the biodata of Nirja Madam, I find that it's not only her academic contributions, but also the cultural aspect with which she is associated with it, as well as with the societal aspect. So here we have a multidimensional personality who, through her learnings, through her wisdom, is contributing to the society. It is an honor and a privilege for us, madam, that you are here amidst us, and I invite you to enlighten us with your words of wisdom. Nirja, madam.
Namaste. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mumbai University, Professor Suhas Patnakarji, wonderful colleague and scholar in her own self, Professor Namita Nimbalkarji, the entire panel of scholars, my co-panelists who are again section, and the participants, which I'm sure are the latest scholars, research scholars, students, and invited guests. To everyone, I offer my pranam, namaste. Thank you so much for making me a part of this wonderful international conference, which is also the commemoration of inauguration of this Center for Studies for Hindu Studies. I'm really elated that the university has thought about opening a center not only for philosophy, but Hindu philosophy. And that makes a difference. At the same time, Namitaji, I am really humbled with the introduction. This much was not required. If you could have briefed it, I would have been comfortable. But now I stand with the baggage of my own CV, and I would try to justify that whole idea, what has gone to the audience. Okay, coming straightway to our concept. There are many things related to the word Hindu. Hindu life, Hindu philosophy, Hindu scripture, Hindu traditions, Hindu civilization, and the entire existence of the word Hindu. So the moment we look at Hindu, there are the layers of other connotations which come up. And we hear texts, we hear mythology, we hear characters, we hear the knowledge systems. We also hear that the entire concept of Bhagwan and Avatar. And it's very important for us to understand the basics of Hinduism first. And I would not say Hinduism, it's a corrupted word. I would say Hindu Dharma. Then we should progress to understand what is actually Hindu Dharma. Because it's a beautiful samas. It's a beautiful blended word, Hindu Dharma. Because Dharma is the base of Hindu. Everything is driven by Dharma. Whatever we do, and Dharma has three basic, what we say, the foundations. And these three basic foundations are Darshan, Gyan, and Vidya. When we see the legacy of these three, they have entirely different legacies. But at the end of the day, when we commemorate all these things together, they create Dharma. So Darshan has its own base because Darshan is a system. Darshan is a parampara. Darshan is that particular sect through which a drashta looks at the other. Though darshan seems to be internal, it's basically an external exercise because that is how we define particular sect or segment or thinking or thought or maybe the whole custom. So darshan has its own legacy. Then it comes the second thing which is very important is gyan. And what is Gyan? Gyan is not limited to something that only knowledge. Gyan is the anubhuti. Gyan is the awakening. Gyan is the self-realization. So Atmik, from Darshan, which is Bahya, we come to Gyan, which is Atmik. And then the third is Vidya. Vidya is particular, pinpointed. A particular field. So we have para and apara. The knowledge about this world and the metaphysical knowledge as well. So these three have such a strong base for dharma. And I'm sure these are the basis of any dharma. But the problem is the moment we say any dharma, the other dharma looks like they look like sects. The dharma is primarily our purpose in life and our urge to perform that purpose. That is dharma. That is obligatory. That is compulsory. But when we name the other religions, and that is why all of us have heard it so many times, that religion is not synonym to dharma. And this is the basic reason, this is the basic segregation why religion is not a synonym to dharma. Religion is a path, but dharma is a platform, what is to be done, and religion tells us how that is to be done. So the basic plate is dharma and religion is the servings, I would say. And then you choose your serving, that which serving suits you more. So you actually pick that particular portion up and start following that particular taste which suits your climate, your culture, your belief, your entire civilizational setup. That is how we can segregate between dharma and religion. So when we say Hindu dharma, then what is Hindu? And Hindu is a Gyan Parampara. Hindu cannot survive itself. I'm not saying Hindu as a human being. Hindu, the basic concept cannot survive if there is no Gyan. Gita, in its fourth chapter, this is the 33rd verse, beautiful verse, and it says, Shreyan Dravyamayat Yagyat Gyan Yagya Parantapa. Shreyan means the people who are very rich and very, very devoted and very committed, even through yagya, even through donations, they cannot achieve that height. Gyan yagya parah tapa. The extreme elated part is Gyan yagya, Gyan tapa. Gyan yagya, and then the second line is Sarvam Karmam Akhilam Parth Gyane Parisampayati. Whatever you do, at the end of the day, if you don't gain knowledge out of that karma, then that karma has nothing to do with your life. That is dharma. So the dharma is bound with the karma. If our karma don't contribute any elevation of soul, if our karma, it's something like sthula sharir and sukshma sharir. Sthula sharir is what we see. So someone is 5 feet tall, someone is 6 feet tall, someone has a very thin body stature, someone has other types of body statures. This is a sthula sharir. And the sukshma and sthula sharir has a limit to grow. So after a limit, it stops growing. But there is a sukshma sharir, and sukshma sharir is the atma. Sukshma sharir is the jnana kshetra. Sukshma sharir is the Paramatma. Sukshma sharir is Ekatma. Sukshma sharir is the Brahmand. So whatever we do with this Sthula sharir, that only creates Sukshma sharir. The Sukshma sharir cannot grow without the karma of the Sthula sharir. So karma is base of our growth of Atma, but karma is done on the Gyan we attain. So knowledge is very important, and there starts the study of Hindu Dharma. Hindu Dharma says that Gyan is the base of all karma. If we don't have Gyan, if you don't have Samyak Buddhi, if we can't segregate between do's and don'ts, then we cannot work, we can't perform. And if we can't perform, we just can't grow. To grow from the base self to the elevated self, we need to perform. So Hindu Dharma basically starts with darshan, gyan, and vidya. And why do we work? Why should? What would happen if we don't work? How does it matter if we don't grow? It's okay if I don't know God, I don't know God, but I have money, I have luxury, I have such a birth that I can enjoy, then it's okay. Why I should work? Then comes the next dictate, Let's see, we have three conditions. And the three conditions are Sat, Chit, and Anand. Sat is the truth. Chit is the basic, what we say, the heart. And Anand is the pleasure, but not pleasure in just temporary or temporal pleasure. The Sat is the absolute being, but at the center is Chit. Now, Chit is the conscience. Chit is that Chaitana, which is not your alone. We are not islands. Whatever we have, we feel, we do, we think, it actually traverses to others. So Chit is not alone. Chit is not only ours. Chit belongs to Brahmand. The way we think or we act, the way our conscience thinks, and that is why in Indian tradition and Hindu tradition, the planets are also not matter, they are the being. They have Chaitana. So the planets also are taken as the living being because the conscience runs over there. We are connected. We are a connected self. That is why Chit is important. So at the center is Chit. On one hand is Satya and the other hand is Anand. This Anand is the blessed state. Paramanand. Anand is the ultimate. Whatever we do in life, whether we do right or wrong or truthfulness or lies or deceit or loyalty, whatever we do, we only are driven by the word Anand. That gives us pleasure. Whether the pleasure is momentary or it is a very long elected time or whatever, the universal pleasure, but we all work for pleasure, we all aspire pleasure. So Anand is the Lakshya. We have to reach to that state of Anand, but both Satya and Anand depend on Chit. The moment Chit shakes, the moment our conscience shakes, our Satya and Anand, they also shake. And today, these centers are very important because we don't understand what is Chitta. We don't understand what is the Prakriti because Chitta again depends upon the Prakriti. What is the basic that will only create the Chitta? That is why in our languages, as Namita ji says, I know many languages, at least in these languages I have tested, that there is only one word and the word is the same word for example, in Sanskrit, in Hindi, in Indian tradition, it's called Prakriti. Bahir and Antar, both external and internal, the human nature and the outer nature. मनुष्य की प्रकृति और बाहर की प्रकृति, बाह्य प्रकृति, कुदरत, इंसानी कुदरत और बाहरी कुदरत, same word. Why? Because we are the same elements. The same elements have created the outer nature as we are being created. So the Prakriti is very important, and Prakriti in Hindu Dharma is divided into two parts. And what are these? They are Istri and Purush. So we have the Purush Tattva and we have the Istri Tattva, and out of that the words are coined like Purushatva and Istritva. Now what happens in today's society, take an example, that we are trying to behave like Purush. It is said to be, if you act like a man, you are more celebrated. And that is why even for the performing ladies, the sentence is used, बहुत पुरुषत्व किया है, पुरुषत्व. Why the lady can't perform through Stritva? But the Stritva is said to be somewhere the weaker connotation, while the Purushatva means courageous. And here comes the problem. If we don't act according to Prakriti, because the basic of Stritva is Mamatva, and the basic of Purushatva is Rakshatva. And we see in the society, even a 5-year-old boy will be sent with a teen-year-old girl to say, nahi bhai ko lekar jao. ठीक रहेगा, don't go alone. So why? Because the Purushatva has that Rakshatva as inherent being. And similarly, if someone is very affectionate, very compassionate, very soft-hearted, we say, oh, girl-like. Why? Because the mamatva is the basic inherent trait of stritva. Here I remember a small, beautiful poem by Rabindranath Tagore. There is a small girl, and she's about 2 years old, and she asked her mother, when I was born. No, her answer was very easy. The mother could have told her birthday, but this is the mother, created by Tagore. So see the reply what mother gives. The mother says, well, you were born when I was of your age and I held the first doll in my hand. You were born. So it's inherent, basically. So Prakriti has divided everything into masculine and feminine. And wherever we try to touch that inherent trait or legacy, the chit is disturbed. The inherent traits are disturbed. And to create the harmony then is a bigger task. So in this world, the absence of war is not peace. It's the absence of harmony, which is what we call peace. Our Shastra says, our ano bhadra kritvo yantu vishwata. Whatever is good in the world, please take, gather, collect from all directions, anything which is good. But then what to do? Should we become the basically capitalists that we just hold everything which is good and then keep to ourselves? No. The next sutra says, A vadani janebhya. Whatever I have has to be given back to the world. And there lies the another trait along with Gyan of Hindu Dharma. And the second trait is Karuna. If you can be compassionate, if you can relate to the other person, if you can empathize with other people, then only you can live peacefully. That is what the Hindu Dharma is about. It says that you have to join other on the basic of knowledge, following the traits of this nature. You have to join other if you want to live in a peaceful society. Again, I'm quoting from Mahabharata here. It is said that once it was decided that there would be a Kurukshetra or Mahabharata, then Arjun went to Krishna and said, Madhav, would you be with us? So Madhav said, well, Arjun, I would have loved to be with you if there had been any adharma. But I don't think I should be with you because everything is dharma. So Arjun asked Madhav, you are saying this? You came down to save Draupadi. How can you say there was no adharma? You don't find anything happening on those basics in that particular Nyaya Sabha? Krishna says, what was there which was adharma? See, there were two players. They had already laid down the rules. They had already understood the rules. So they were playing with the ethical knowledge of the rules. What is wrong in that? There was a king, Dhritarashtra, who actually was there to look after that if adharma is happening. But both players were following the rules, so Raja was also right. Then there was the commander, chief commander, Senapati, that is Bhishma Pitama. What is the duty of a commander? If an enemy attacks, then he has to respond. But there was no enemy there. So why should he speak? He was following his dharma. So the players were following their dharma. The Raja was following his dharma. The Bhishma Pitama was following his dharma. Then there were gurus. The duty of the guru is if the king follows a niti or durachar, then the guru have to advise to the king. But then there was nothing which was beyond dharma. Everyone was sitting there performing their own dharmas. So why should guru speak? Now Arjun started crying and said, Madhav, please tell me what is adharma. Then what Krishna says, comes to the crux of the Dharma. Krishna says, look, they were all performing individual Dharma. And when you perform individual Dharma, it is not called Dharma, it is called Kartavya. The base of Dharma is Karuna. धर्म का मूल करुणा होता है. If there is no karuna at the bottom, if two players don't empathize with each other, if the king can't empathize, if the senapati can't empathize, if the gurus can't empathize, then dharma was not followed. Therefore, everything that happened in that house that day, though they were all following the rules, still is called adharma. So Hindu Dharma says Gyan, Dharma, and then comes the whole of the legacy, and that is the Shrania. What are the Shreni? One is Praman and one is Drishta. Praman means that how many types of evidences do we have? The Western world says anything which is pratyaksha, which we can sense with our sensory system, is called praman. So that limits our evidence system, and then we say pratyaksh is praman. Whatever we can see, we can hear, we just read, we can touch with this body, that limits. But the Indian knowledge system says there are 6 types of praman, and anubhav is also praman. Anuman is also praman, Sambhav is also praman, Shabd is also praman, and they are such big praman, we say pran jai par vachan na jai. So the whole system is based on those pramanas which actually lead to the experimentations in sciences. Gita says Jnanam Vijnanam Sahitam. So Vigyan is the integral part, and Vigyan means there has to be one hypothesis and the one has to be the methodology through which we test the hypothesis and then declare it null and void or successful conclusion. So here, when we speak of Anuman as a Praman, Sambhav as a Praman, we are actually endorsing the whole system of hypothesis. Otherwise, how do we imagine only anything which we are going to test in our research? So Hindu Dharma should not be limited into the scriptures, into all those religious texts and religious books. That is why we have 2 traditions, Shruti and Smriti. And then comes the written texts. So Shruti and Smriti are as important systems of Hindu Dharma as the written scriptures. And when we lay down all these 3 systems, Shruti, Smriti, and the Likit, then we understand that what the span of Hindu Dharma is. Its philosophy basically is very simple, but the methodologies are complex. They are integral. They are they follow the multipolarities, and there are other systems in that. When we talk of the types of diseases, the Charak Samhita says, and why I'm calling it here while quoting, you would understand when I say the 5th type of disease, and that is the base of Hindu Dharma. It has to cure that disease. So it has a parampara of Shastra. Otherwise, why should we read the scriptures? What the scriptures would give us? The scriptures, they purify the Antahkaran and Bahyakaran. Karan is the tool, Karan is the methods through which we use something, and that is why there are 2 types of tool. One is mantra and one is tantra. Mantra means man, which we internalize, which we chant internally. Tantra is tan, body, which is shown outward. So mantra and tantra means rituals and chanting. Chanting is for ourselves, rituals are for the world. And then karan, so antahkaran and bahyakaran. So it purifies the antahkaran, it purifies the bahyakaran. And to do this, we need to clean the system as Charak Samhita says, there are 5 major illness. So first he describes the illness, then he describes the upchar or the therapy. But today, if we analyze those therapy, we understand that how corrupt the therapy themselves have become. So the first type of illness, he says, illness of thought. Illness of thought means how he दूषित हो गए हैं. Our thinking process has been corrupted. So he says the therapy for correcting the bhav is darshan. Darshan is we need to, understand each other from vad, vivad to samvad. But how this samvad has been corrupted, today it has gone to atankvad. And we have failed in our thinking, we have failed in our speech. That is why we are using our hands, where our whole system of darshan has collapsed. We don't have patience to listen to others, we have just to speak. So there is no dialogue, there is only monologue. And because there are so much of monologues, so we are full of anger. Everyone is restless, everyone is full of anger, everyone is so much dissatisfied with everything around that. So there is no peace. Why? Because there is no dialogue, because dialogue needs peace, patience, tolerance, because it has to give space to other. So the system, what he says, the therapy, what he proposes itself has gone to crap. The second illness, he says, hriday or bhav. If we want to show our happiness, we don't know whether the happiness is genuine or not. We have learned how to hide our feelings. If we don't like someone, we have no courage to say that, okay, I can't like. We have to show that extra affection. So we're not true to our own things. And the upchar, the therapy, what Charak says is, it is sahitya. If we read good literature, it trains us how to be true, how to be honest. But what is sahitya? Sahitya is not only opening a book and reading it like a book. Sahitya means Pathan, Manan, Vachan, Chintan, Lekhan. These are the steps of Sahitya. How many of us are involved into it? Even one research paper, we can't be honest. We are just copying and pasting. We don't know what we have written there. We are not true to our feelings, what we are projecting to others, whether in writing, whether in speaking, whether with our gestures. We have learned the art of feigning. So even this therapy has been corrupted. The third illness, Charak says, is the body. Body is, we have fever or fracture or some sort of ailment or disorder. And he says the therapy is Ayurveda. Ayurveda means the 5 elements and we need to balance them. But today, if you see the therapies, whatever medicines we take, they themselves create another epidemic. So there are after effects. There is no surety that this therapy will cure the body or the illness or ailment. The fourth illness, he says, is the Vani dosh. And he says it's a big illness because whatever we have, faced in our life, 3/4 of it is because of the speech. We have no control over our words, whether written or spoken. And we immediately react, and then we give such a reaction or reply, which actually leads to another type of problem like tensions or body measurements, anatomical measurements are disturbed, and we face tension and whatnot. And he says the therapy is dramaturgy, Vaiyakaran. What does it mean? It means that you have the onus of the meaning also. You have to go to the meaning also. Till then, please don't speak. If you can't digress all the meanings of what you are going to say, then our Vani will be controlled. And the last illness, he says, is Agyan. Agyan is ignorance. Don't know many things. And the therapy is not Gyan. Normally, when I on the live stage, and I ask, okay, tell what would be the suggested therapy for Gyan. People say Gyan. He says, even the most Gyani person can be a Gyani in some area. So the therapy of Agyan is Natya. Natya, such a lok thing. That is what the tradition of oral texts come. Why the Shruti and Smriti? Because that is the highest influencer on the people who basically are not literate even. But if you have to teach the entire civilization, then perform. But today, if we go to the Natya Parampara, then whether you go to TV serials or to the movies or to the YouTube or whatever form of visual we are giving them, it's all in such a corrupted form, such digress form that they cannot teach the generation. So the basics of Hindu Dharma are, it's very clear that the knowledge systems, if you follow them, it is so easy to understand that what will be the philosophy that is to be given to the students or to the new generation or to the researchers. Uh, the whole Gita says that there are 5 elements which ensures 100% success. So 20%, 20%, 20%, like that, 5 elements. Now, what is the 5 element? That is adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prathak vidham vividhascha prayogascha daivam chaivatra panchanam. Adhishthanam. Adhishthan is this body. These are the tools how we will be successful. So Adhishthan is the body. Now body can also mean the organization or the place we are working, even this world, even this Brahman. This is all Adhishthan. Then the second is Karta. Who is the doer? What is the intention of the doer? What is the match of the karma and the doer? Is he really liking? Or otherwise, a disinterested Karta can never assure us with the success. The third is Karanam. Karan is the tool. As I said, Antah Karan, Bahya Karan, Tantra and Mantra. Which tool are we applying to? The fourth is Prathak Vidha. Prathak Vidha means we have to employ multiple skills. Vivid Cheshtayam, and not once, with different types of methodologies. With one methodology, we cannot ensure the success. And the fifth, he says, Daivam. Daivam is Bhagya. Now, Bhagya is not something which is not in our hand. It is a wrong perception. Bhagya is made on past karmas. So ultimately, it comes down to karma. Whatever we do, it creates our bhagya. We say we take a baggage of our past birth. पिछले जन्म की वजह से मेरा भाग्य ऐसे है, बट पिछले जन्म की वजह से नहीं, पिछले जन्म के कर्मों की वजह से. So ultimately, it's all based on karma, and karma is done on knowledge, and knowledge comes with the related empathy and the understanding of the larger world, that what is our dharma. This is you may call it a linear understanding, or you may call it a circular understanding, you may call it a vertical or horizontal understandings, but ultimately the Hindu philosophy is absolutely scientific. We can test it as many times in our contemporary perspective, and then going back to our scriptures, they almost create the same vibes and same nuances. Therefore, the basic genre of Hindu Dharma is again very different from the other genre of other dharmas. With this, I thank you very much for inviting me for this platform and giving me this particular opportunity to appear before you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There was a technical glitch because of which I was unable to unmute myself and start the video. Thank you, Dr. Nirja Gupta, for your session. It indeed was a delight to listen to you. And in morning also, Mukulji Kanetkar, he spoke about the evolving nature of Hinduism. And he spoke about the importance of parampara. And you too reiterated the same thing about parampara in your talk. And this is something that we have to keep it in mind, or rather, the listeners who are here, the students who are here, the research scholars who are over here, that we have to understand that what it means to be, that when we speak of Hindu religion as a parampara, what it means when we speak of Hindu religion as being a Sanatan Dharma. And very well, when you explore the various dimensions of Hindu religion, so be it the difference or the distinctions that you made of Chitta and then that of Prakriti, at the same time when you speak of Charak and when you speak about the human body, and then again, all these things together, they make a holistic person. So, the true emphasis of Hindu religion has been brought out by you, where we speak about it's not only following the norms of life, it's not only like, as we say, it's a way of life. Hindu religion is a way of life. And this way of life has to be there not only in the external, not only in the apparent, not only in the appearances, but it also has to be at the transcendental level as well as at the internal level. So thank you so very much for your enlightening talk. And thank you for your patience with all the delays that were taking place. And I understand that it was a time where it was but conferences are meant for all these things. A slight delay here and there. Thank you for bearing with us. Thank you, madam. Thank you. The next speaker that we have over here, I would like to invite the next speaker, and we have Baldev Das ji. Professor Ramnath Jha, I would like to, I apologize to you. Due to some other commitments, I will have to take Baldev Das ji a little earlier rather than you. So we have Baldev Das ji of ISKCON. He has been connected to the center of ISKCON for the past 3 decades, and he holds many important leaderships roles in ISKCON body. He also serves as a zonal coordinator at ISKCON in Maharashtra. He is a faculty at Bhakti Vedanta Academy for Culture and Education. And when we look at that, the biodata that I have with me is that he basically holds a bachelor's degree in physics, and he also has done his studies in advanced physics, nuclear energy, and kinematics. Now, with this combination of physics background and and his understanding of Hindu religion will definitely bring out a very different understanding and perspective on Hindu religion. He also holds multiple diplomas in various fields such as human resource and personal management, software management, business communication, yoga, as well as tourism. He serves as a motivational speaker. He is also a lifestyle manager, leadership coach. Naturally, he has a varied experience. He has conducted interactive seminars and workshops for prestigious universities and multinational companies in various countries. Because of his area of expertise and his multifaceted personality, he has been traveling to various countries in different continents of the world, which has taken him to more than 32 countries all over the globe. Within India, he has traveled extensively, and his writings are published, and it is also available on the popular ecotourism website holydham.com. He has also appeared on many TV shows, radio shows, and his emphasis is on ecology, simple living, high thinking, sustainability are some of the themes on which he presents his view. I invite Shri Baldev Das ji to deliver his address.
Thank you, madam, for inviting me, and especially want to thank all the assembled great scholars and presenters. I just heard Madam Nirja make an eloquent speech on the beautiful topic, and I'd like to beg apology from Ramnath Jha sir for uh, kind of jumping over you. Sorry for that. And after me, Professor Himanshu Chaturvedi, Professor Shubhada Madam, then Ashutosh Bhatnagar will also carry on. So thank you all for joining today, other students and presentation makers. And we wish to thank especially Professor Ravikant Sangurde, who has been instrumental in connecting with this ISKCON society and connecting them with this very prestigious project from the Mumbai University, the Hindu Philosophical Studies. The topic for our presentation is indeed very amazing. It's the connecting Hinduism with ecology, Hinduism with scriptures, Hinduism with other multiple facets which are important in today's world and history. I would like to begin my brief presentation today with a very important mantra, which is an invocation mantra of Sri Ishopanishad. The mantra goes in this way: Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. In short, this mantra has come from Sri Ishopanishad, one of the most popular 108 Upanishads of the Hindu tradition. And in this mantra, the idea is given that everything in this world is perfectly complete because the creator of this world is also perfectly complete. That means one who is complete and perfect cannot ever create something which is imperfect or incomplete. So everything innate or animate in this world is perfectly complete. So with this, I recall a very beautiful story which I heard when I was a small child. This story is of a man who was once sleeping under a berry tree. That means boar ke jhaad ke niche soya tha wo. And then he was visualizing the creation around him. Then he saw a small hut next to him where there were creepers, and on the chat, on the top of the hut, the roof of the hut, there was a creeper which were holding on to big pumpkin on the creeper. So quite intrigued, he was thinking that pumpkin is such a beautiful vegetable, and he was thinking why this pumpkin has to grow on a creeper. And then his eyes fell on the huge tree under which he was sleeping, the berry tree. And he was thinking that if God would have put the pumpkins on this tree, at one instance, just like I can see so many bears or berry fruits on the tree, if there are so many pumpkins on this tree, will the humanity not gain so much from pumpkins? They can eat so many pumpkins. Because the pumpkin is on a vine or a creeper, only 2-3 pumpkins come at one time. So with this idea that how God could have created more better, he actually fell asleep. There was a little nap which took, and during that time, some few berries from the tree fell down and hit his head. So he woke up suddenly and he found the berries near him, and he took the berries and he ate the berries and was very happy. And suddenly a eureka, an idea sprung him that, oh, what if the pumpkins were on this tree and I was sleeping down there and pumpkins would have fallen from the tree, it would have landed on my head and it would have broken my head. And then he realized that actually it was good that the pumpkins grow on the creeper and they're on the ground rather than on a tree, because if they fall, they would not break anyone's head. So the whole idea of this story, which I learned in my childhood, was that everything which is there in God's creation is unique and is perfect. There is no defect. There is no, as we say, manufacturing defect in any creation of the God. So this Ishopanishad brings in a very beautiful concept of completeness in the universe. And the next one, the next mantra in the Ishopanishad makes us aware of our responsibility and duties in this universe, or how we function. Ishavashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita ma kashyat Swadhanam, which mentions that since the Lord's creation is perfect, everyone is getting his own quota. And if we all know what our quota is and we take only our quota, then what will happen? Everyone will be fed, everyone will get what they deserve. But the problem is that in this today's world, today's modern world, people have no understanding of what actual quota is. And more or less, people are become so greedy that they are snatching, they're grabbing, exploiting. And as a result, the entire balance system of the universe is just disturbed at this time. So here we see that how this beautiful composium, this beautiful presentation which is happening for today and tomorrow is a way of kind of coming together and trying to understand the aspect of how Hinduism, the scriptures of Hindu, are enlightening us of how we can balance our life and create a harmony in today's world. I was recently, when I was traveling, I met many people from other ethnic race, and they were mentioning when they saw me in these clothes, and they were asking me a lot of questions, and they also told us that they have a desire to come to India. And then I was pondering over myself, why do people want to come to India? Because India, as many of us may think, India is not very as modern as USA or UK or other very developed nations. We have our own, like we are very developing nation, but we are still way far behind in terms of many aspects, in terms of cleanliness or in the human behavior as such. So I was pondering why people come ever to India at all. If you find in the airports, many foreigners come to India. And in fact, I was reading a book on some English author had written a book on travel to India. So in one section, it was mentioning how to be safe in India. And he was mentioning that how you can be cheated very easily. People can rob you, steal you, fool you. And there are diseases in India. So there is also a disclaimer when people come to India. And yet people still throng our nation, the India. Why is it so? Is it because they come to India to see our modern monuments? Do they come to see our beaches? Do they come to see our buildings or our infrastructure? Well, I don't think so. Maybe they may add some glory to India, but there's much more to India what people come and see, and that is the tradition of Indian culture. The tradition, the culture, the values which are seen in the people and the places where they visit. So, like for example, every nation in this world has its speciality or peculiarity. If you think of Middle East, any country in Middle East, if you think about what we think immediately, it is the speciality of Middle East is oil, right? The whole thing is about oil. The economy runs because of oil. What about Japan? When we think of Japan, then we think of speciality of Japan is technology. We think about Germany, then people see that Germans are very, very good engineers and they are very punctual. So punctuality is speciality of Germany. We think about USA. USA speciality is life is there is more freedom, more liberty in USA. And then we think about India. What is the speciality of India? Some may say that, well, Bollywood is one of the speciality of India. Cricket is a speciality of India. Doctors of India are well known all over the world. Engineers in India are all over, software engineers in America and all over Europe. Well, yes, Bollywood, cricket, engineers, doctors, they are really fantastic, no doubt about it. But I would not say they are a speciality of India. In fact, if you read the tagline of the tourism department of India, they write it incredible India, right? You go to airport, you go to different stations, they write incredible India. What makes India incredible? And the incredible part of India is its culture, its tradition. And the culture and tradition of India is based on the spiritual aspect, which is a dharovar for many, many generations. I would say many, many yugas in technical Sanskrit. That the spirituality is coming in, bringing in values, tradition, culture in the life of India and the Indian people. And this is what people from outside India come to check out and to relish and to actually learn. I was reading a beautiful article which one nice young man from Banaras, he shared many years back on his Facebook page about how he was once visited by one American boy, a youth from USA, and he stayed 1 year in his house. Quite amazing. One American young man stayed in one Banaras Hindu boy's house. What was the reason? This young American youth was staying in a very big society, a big apartment in USA. And while going through India in the websites, he came across wonderful, this whole town of Kashi, Banaras. And then through Facebook, he connected to many people there. And then he became friends with this particular young boy from Banaras. And he came to know from him his photos that he had a beautiful family, his father, his mother, his grandmother, his grandfather, his sisters. They all stayed together in a very small place. And that kind of really impressed him because of his particular background, wherein he was living alone in his own apartment. His father and mother, they were not living together, they were separate. So there was one big apartment, some other city where his father was staying, another apartment, another city where mother was staying, and he was in third apartment, some other city. So he was missing this experience of family. And he found this young man was very beautifully endowed with the experience of culture, experience of family. So through his Facebook chat, he threw a deal to this Benares person that can I come and stay with you for a few days? So this boy was a little taken aback by this request. So he asked his parents that, one American boy wants to come and stay in our family. He wants to experience family life here. So the parents were a little intrigued. They said, how can someone strange come and stay in our house? So the boy understood. The American boy said, well, I can pay for that, my stay. And he said, I don't know what is the cost of Indian rupees and dollars and the cost of living, but I'm ready to pay around 10,000 rupees per day to stay there. And that was like a big thing, 10,000 rupees per day. And everyone talked with each other in the whole family and said, well, no problem. Let him come and stay. Let us see how long he stays here. So this boy came all the way from America to stay in a Banaras Hindu family home, which was all jam-packed with so many members, just to experience the family atmosphere, the cultural atmosphere, traditional atmosphere of Hinduism through the values which our parents, our ancestors have given us. So we can all see that Hinduism, when the word Hinduism comes in, Hinduism actually deals with tradition, culture, and values, and much of it is because of spiritual enrichment, the dharovar, the parampara which we get in. The founder of ISKCON is Swami Prabhupada. So once he was traveling to London from India. So when he got on at airport, many of his followers came to visit and take him, receive him. Few media personalities also came. So one of the reporters asked Swami Prabhupada, Swamiji, why have you come to London? So when she asked that question, it looked like a loaded question where someone is questioning why you ever came here. You are in India. Don't you remember that we Britishers ruled you for so many years? Now, why have you come here? Swami Prabhupada very beautifully mentioned to her that, well, you Britishers came to India and ruled us for so many years and you stole so many things, but you forgot to take one important thing from India. And Prabhupada, Swami pulled out a Bhagavad Gita in his hand and said, this is the book which you forgot to take. So I've come to give you this book. This is the most important thing which you forgot to take from India. While you took all the different Kohinoor, Hiras and all those things, but the biggest Hira is forgotten. The land of culture, the land of spirituality, the Bhagavad Gita. Swami Vivekananda gave his beautiful speech in Chicago and made India proud. So Swami Vivekananda was also traveling in America, and the beautiful attire he was having, a turban and the saffron robes. So an American, quite intrigued while he's traveling, he said, sir, why do you wear those strange clothes? Why don't you wear like a gentleman? So Swami Vivekananda told him that in your country, a tailor makes a man into a gentleman. And Swami Vivekananda spoke, in my country, the character makes a man into a gentleman. So we see the difference there, that how the traditional culture and values of Hinduism have gotten the glory for the whole land of India. People come in throng into many large numbers to experience yoga, experience bhakti, experience belief systems, scriptures. They come and learn here. right? We have people coming from all over the world to Rishikesh, Haridwar, and you'll find those places people are sitting in meditation and learning yoga, learning Hindu philosophy. People go to Vrindavan, there are so many foreigners there. So why people come here? Because Hinduism or India is well known for the incredibility to the culture and the value system here. So when we hear about the word ecology or environment, we need to also know that there's a connection between this terminology and the culture belief which we live in India. We take any tradition or any religion, like let it be Hinduism or Sikhism or Parsi or Islam or Christianity. While there will be some difference of their in secondary aspects of the scriptures, but primarily every scripture speaks on values, like the value of humility, the value of tolerance, the value of simplicity, the value of caring nature, love to give, and value of tolerance. So we see these values are more or less built up in every Indian, and through the traditions, family system, we get these values very nicely. So one of these values which I'm speaking now is simplicity. Now, what is simplicity? Simplicity is nothing but has a great, powerful connection with ecology. A natural and a simple life which we live will definitely go in sync with Mother Nature. The more we go away or to away from the simplicity life, the more and more our environment will be harmed, our ecology will be harmed. In modern terms, we can say in simple language that more away from simplicity we go, then more carbon footprints will generate. So the whole ecology or environment is nothing but now the problem is to not reduce the carbon footprints. And if you see the Indian culture, we see Indian culture, how simplicity the life was. Traditionally, people would sit down and eat their food. They would eat their food with hand and they had plates. Sometimes you go to some places as invitation in traditional family, they'll make you sit down and they'll offer you food in banana leaf plates or pattals. It was all biodegradable. There was no plastic, there was no thermocol, there was no all those elements of those times. In fact, one of my good colleagues in ISKCON here happened to go to London to give a presentation. So he was with many very important people of London. And when the food was served, so he was eating by hand, right? And everyone was eating by spoons. So one of the London gentlemen, English gentlemen asked, "Hey, Swamiji, why are you eating with your hand? That's very orthodox. That's very naive." So my colleague asked him, "Well, what is good, to eat by hand or eat by spoon?" He said, "Why spoon? It is very, very sophisticated to eat by spoon." So my friend told him that, "Well, my hand is my hand. It goes into only my mouth. But that spoon goes in so many people's mouth. So which is good, clean? Is it to eat by someone else's spoon, which goes in everyone's mouth, even though it's cleaned, or to eat by our own hand?" So these are small things which are there in our culture. If you go deep and see that how our culture was very down to earth, very simple. Like in Hinduism, we have even when you die, people die, then they cremate their body. Immediately the body is burned and it's all into ashes. So even cremation is also very balanced, ecologically proven right. We in the traditional lifestyle we used to bake in earthen utensils, and in this way we saw that in the yesteryears our culture was bringing in simplicity in our lifestyle. So we can see that the whole aspect of Hinduism or Indian culture, or as in the new way of presenting Hinduism is called as Sanatan Dharma. We find simplicity or ecological balance, environmental protection as part of the system. Swami Prabhupada made a beautiful statement. He said, a culture is a cultured living entity. A cultured living entity is a person who is so compassionate that he will hesitate to even harm an ant. A cultured person will not enjoy enjoy torturing others or enjoy at the sake of others. I can quote a beautiful story from Srimad Bhagavat. where this beautiful story comes in of how once Narad Muniji, he was traveling through a forest and he encountered a very dangerous hunter whose name was Mrigari. So Mrigari, through his traditional upbringing, had learned the art of hunting animals, but he would hunt animals in a peculiar way by killing them only half. And when they were half killed, and they would just struggle to maintain their lives, and then they would die, would enjoy in the animals struggling while dying. So Narad saw so many animals struggling half dead. So he saw Mrigari and asked him, why are you killing them half? If you want to really kill them full. So he said, Narad, well, I learned it from my father, and this is how I've been trained. I like it. So Narad was very feeling compassionate on those animals, and Narad had a force in the future. So with this Shakti, mystic power, he kind of had a projection screen on the sky, and he showed Mrigari, do you know what will happen in the future by killing those animals half? Then he showed him the karma aspect, what will happen in the future. And Mrigari saw that all the animals which he was killing half, they were all attacking him, and they were all killing him. So Mrigari was like shocked. And he said, Swamiji, what should I do? So Narad said, stop killing. And Mrigari said, if I stop killing, what I'll eat? Don't worry, God will take care of you. You practice dhyana, meditation, bhakti, and you'll see everything will be done. So keeping faith on his newly appointed Guru Narada, this Mrigari went to the forest one side, near the banks of a river, started doing dhyana. So Narada went to the nearby village near the forest and told, well, you know, the hunter, the atrocious hunter, has become a great sage of wisdom. We should go and look at him, go and see him. So all the villagers were very amazed that how can such a torturous person, cruel person can become a gentleman. So they would come to the forest to see and take darshan of this newly formed sage of wisdom. So whenever Indian culture is that when you go to meet someone, you don't go empty-handed. You always carry something, right? So they carried some rice, some atta, or some fruits or vegetables, and they would keep near him, and then do darshan of him, and then go away. So this person was intrigued. I'm not hunting anyone. Well, I am not even practicing my old profession, and yet I see that everything is coming by all grace of God. And 6 months later, Naraji, with his friend, one more friend of him, Dharma Rishi, he went to meet Rigari, the transformed person. And when Rigari saw from very far away his guru has come, Narada, he went running to offer welcome to his guru. But while walking, he was dancing or jumping, and he was not walking straight. So Narada asked him, why are you walking or running towards me in this peculiar fashion? Why? What is the reason? And he said, well, when I was running to meet you, I saw many ants. They were crawling on the ground. So I didn't want to harm the ant or hurt the ant. So I was jumping over them so that I don't kill them. And Narad then saw to Dhaumirishi and said, you see, in 6 months' time, this person got transformed. 6 months before his lifestyle was, he was half killing animals and deriving pleasure. And today he's so cultured that he doesn't want to even harm even an ant. So as Swami Prabhupada mentions, a cultured living entity is so compassionate that he would not even harm an ant. What to speak of harm living entities, what to speak of harming an environment. So this is the beautiful story of Narada and Brigari, that how when a person is connected to a traditional value system, a culture space, then he derives values by which he gets internally transformed, and he stands on values by which he would not harm any other person for his personal gain. Some years back, I was informed there was a debate going on. It came in a science journal. The debate was that there is so much of climate change happening all over the world. What is the reason for this climate change? And some of them debated that the climate is changing because that's the act of nature. The nature has become very revolting, and therefore the nature is kind of harming all the living entities. So the blame was on the nature. And some people debated, no, it's not because of nature, it's because of the human beings who are playing with the nature. So a panel was formed by the United Nations, and the panel was the International Governmental Panel, which contained 150 scientists from all over the world to research on this aspect of what was the reason for climate change. Is it because of nature itself, or because of the humans staying in the earth planet. And they came to conclusion 90% fully that all this is happening, the climate change is because of the human activities, which has now grown very grossly over the world, where it has become the eat dog world, as they say, right? Or they say that it's all yours, you can enjoy. Or they say in Hindi, dil mange more, you want to enjoy, let's enjoy more. So this whole system is basically not based on human values. The human tradition, the Hinduism tradition, is more or less inculcating the values of spirituality, ethics, morality, and which goes a long way to train every human being to be very sensitive to oneself, to people around them, and the environment around them. In one Ayurvedic beautiful paper which I just recently saw, it was mentioning about how Hinduism and health has a very good correlation. And mentioning the good health, if you want a good health, the good health is not just physical health, it's a balance. It's like a physical health as well as the mental health. So physical health has to be there where you go for jogging, exercise, and take diets and all. But apart from that, it's also mental health. So physical health plus mental health gives overall good health. When you talk about physical health, then physical health, when you think of physical health, it is all about how we eat, what we eat, or how we sleep pattern, or how we do exercise. So it's all about physical health. When it comes to mental health, then I was very impressed by this paper, which mentions mental health is a very, very important health, which people do not look nowadays as important. But mental health more or less depends on two aspects. One is the habits, and other is desire. Habits means स्वभाव and desires means इच्छा. स्वभाव और इच्छा से हमारा मानसिक तंदुरुस्ती बनती है. So we find here that nowadays in today's world, we hardly speak about forming good habits. Hardly we are even thinking about whether our desires are very genuine or cultured or pure desires. We are always thinking of just we want desires. We have desires, we want to fulfill it, we just want to have it, right? And habits, all people all over the world now getting so many distorted habits. There are so many forums which are formed now. Many years ago, there was only Alcoholic Anonymous. People need to come out alcoholism, but now there is so many forums. People want to come out habits. So much of use of technology, gadgets. People cannot come out of it. They cannot sleep without it, and there are forums to help people to come out of it. So we are into so many bad habits, and we are into so many wrong desires, that overall the mental health of most of people living on this earth planet is now very imbalanced. And that is the reason why there is also an imbalance in family values, in culture. There is fights going on between nations, between castes, between communities, and all over the world there is so much of want of peace. One time, one Swami, Radhanath Swami, I think so. He's also scheduled to speak in this conference tomorrow evening. So Radhanath Swami was traveling to from Mumbai to Delhi on airplane long back, and the then environmental minister, a lady, she was in the same plane. So she saw Swamiji, and she came and told Swamiji that Swamiji, you are doing so many things in spiritual realm. What are you doing for environment? So Maharaj Swamiji mentioned to Madam that, well, we are working on the inner environment. So she was not able to understand. So she asked Swamiji, what do you mean by that? So Swami told that there are two types of environment. One is the external environment, the world, where there is so much of problem, ecological imbalance. But there is also an inner environment within us, the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego, where also we need to work. In fact, if you work within, then that within work will help us to work outside. As we know this famous English saying that cleanliness is next to godliness. That means one who is very godly will naturally also be very clean. It cannot be other way around. So a person who is naturally very cultured within his value system, belief system, who is very simple natured, he will not able to tolerate problems in the external world. He will make sure that our external world where he stays is also clean, also balanced. So this is what this whole system of Hinduism, belief system, the culture system of Hinduism lead us to, that Hindu scriptures, Hindu culture, Hindu tradition bring in a sense of responsibility in every living being, by which they become very mature and they deal with their own self, their immediate family members, and ultimately the whole world. Vasudhaiva Kutumbikam. That everyone live peacefully, we all stay together, happily enjoy the resources of God, and then we can experience Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. How actually we don't have to create new systems. The whole system arranged by God is completely perfect. And all we need to know is what is our quota. We come together, enjoy our quota, and live peacefully in this world without much creating carbon footprints. This is something which I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you for giving me a chance, and namaskar.
Thank you, Swamiji, for your talk and for bringing out such contemporary dimensions of Hindu religion, and the way the examples which were cited by you, so be it by way of your interactions with the global diaspora, or your interactions with people who are living in foreign countries, and very nicely and very well you have brought out so many important aspects of Hindu religion. And at the same time, when we speak of ISKCON and the founder of ISKCON and the visionary that he was, and the vision that he had, it has really, really contributed to the spread of the value system that the Sanatan Dharma has. So thank you very much. Thank you for your talk. The next speaker that we have the next speaker that we have is Professor Ramnath Jha. Professor Ramnath Jha is yes, नमस्ते सर. सबसे पहले तो आपसे क्षमा याचना कि हमें बलदेव दास जी को, क्योंकि उनको कोई और कार्य था तो इसलिए उनको पहले बुला लिया गया. आपको सूचना देना जरूरी था, लेकिन किसी कारणवश हम नहीं दे पाए, तो सबसे पहले आपसे क्षमा याचना जी सर. So we have with us Professor Ramnath Jha ji. He is a professor in the School of Sanskrit and Indic Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU, New Delhi. He received his early education from Bihar, and he has completed his MA in Sanskrit from Hansraj College, University of Delhi. His subject of interest, and rather we can say that his PhD thesis is on a very important topic, and that is Prasthantre Shankar Bhashya, and he had done it from Sanskrit Department, University of Delhi. His teachings and research areas include, very importantly, Vedic studies, Indian culture, comparative philosophy, Indian philosophy, in which again he specializes in Vedanta, Sankhya, Yoga, Navya Nyaya. At the same time, he also contributes to the Indian intellectual tradition and philosophy of sciences. He has participated in numerous seminars and conferences and workshops at national and international level. He has many books and research papers to his credit, which have been published by national and international publishers. By way of his expertise, he has been invited to numerous countries across the globe to speak on Hindu philosophy. He has delivered more than 147 research special lectures in reputed institutions within and outside India, as well as Delhi. There have been many students who have completed their PhD and MPhil under his guidance, and the number is 80. So 80 students under his guidance are carrying forward the legacy which has been established, which has been created by Professor Ramnath Jha. He is contributing to the domain of philosophy by his contribution and by his publications, as well as by the research project. So one of the research project which in which he was the principal investigator was to prepare a reader in Indian philosophy. The other project which has been undertaken by him is UPOE project of JNU, which is titled as Multilingual Multimedia Encyclopedic Dictionary of Intellectual Terms of Indian Philosophy. And then he has an international project, and this project is titled as Towards an Asian Continental Poetics, a study in intercultural space with special reference to the works of Han Yung-un and Rabindranath Tagore. This project is co-funded by South Korea. Currently, he is working as a principal investigator on a project, Models of Consciousness in Indian Philosophy and Science. This is a fast emerging area, and there's a lot of work which is being done in it, and Professor Jha's contribution to it is going to be immense. So we are really, really happy to have you with us, Professor Jha. He is also the editor of the international journal Vedic Venues. So we are indeed privileged to have you with us, and we invite you to give a talk. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're very much audible.
Thank you. Idam namah rishibhya purvajebhya purvebhya patkritbhya. Pranams to all dignitaries and scholars. It's my privilege to have become the speaker of this session. I will be speaking on fundamentals of Hindu darshan. So, as we know now, this area is also growing up, and this is high time that we must understand our own heritage, our understanding of reality, understanding of oneself. So there are so many fundamentals that actually constitute Hindu darshan. I am using this term darshan because we believe in direct realization at gross level through senses, at the same time realization of subtle world, realization of causal state, and at last realization of the ultimate truth. So all are darshan. In Svetasvatar Upanishad, Rishi says, Te dhyan yoganugata apasyan devatma shaktim sagunair nibudha. So Rishis had direct realization of ultimate truth. So this is not based on logical conclusion only. This is based on direct experience. So this is Hindu darshan. The first fundamental aspect, the concept of Ishwar or concept of Brahma. This is the fundamental thing, because without understanding this principle, we cannot understand the whole Hindu darshan or Hindu way of life. Ishwar or Brahma, as we know, there are two derivations of Brahma. First is Brihattamatvat Brahma. Brahma is that truth, ultimate truth, which is all pervasive. And the second aspect is this pluralistic universe is also the nature of Brahma, also the expansion of Brahma. As Adi Shankaracharya says, Brahmaivaham jagat sakalam chinmatra vistaritam. Or Purush Sukt, Purush evedam sarvam yad bhutam yadcha bhavyam. So the ultimate truth is Parabrahma, and this pluralistic universe as Apar Brahma. In Kathopanishad, Rishi says, Vidyate hriday granthis chidyante sarva samsaya, kshiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. So Parabrahma or Avar Brahma. Parabrahma or Apar Brahma. Apar Brahma has been understood as Karya Brahma. Parabrahma is Karana Brahma. In this way, Hindu understand the ultimate truth as Ishwar or Brahma, Brahma as Nirgun Nirakar, and at the same time, this pluralistic universe or Sagun and Sakar Brahma. Through Nirgun Brahma, there is a all-pervasive nature of reality. We understand that in each and every particle of this universe, there is same truth existing. And through Saguna Brahma, we have a kind of Bhakt and Bhagwan type of relationship. At the same time, if this universe is the expansion of Brahma, as our Shastra says, Bringanatvat Brahma. This universe is the expansion of the same truth. So if this is the reality, our understanding goes to the divine aspect of this universe. So Hindu always looks at this reality as a divine entity. So from Brahma to Chiti, Pipilika, from plants to animal, whatever living or non-living, all are divine from Hindu point of view. So this divinity is very important thing, because when we see the Semitic view, there is a lack there, because through mind-matter dualism, they accept human being as the only conscious being, and other than human being is non-conscious. And non-conscious being is to be dominated by conscious being. This is their view. But in our tradition, in Hindu philosophy, darshan, everything is divine. Human beings are also the part of the same reality. Hindu understand the interrelationship and interdependence. So we take care of nature, and nature also takes care of us. So there is a kind of mutual understanding, mutual relationship. Second issue, that Hindu accept ultimate truth as a male principle, also as female principle, and also as a neuter principle. So when we say Brahma, that is Napunsakling. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says that I am Brahma, I am Ishwar. He claims himself as Ishwar. And at the same time, in Devyatharva Seeds or Vak Sukta, the female principle also claims that I am the supreme truth. So in Devyatharva Seeds, when Devata go to Bhagavati or Shakti and asks, Sabravit sarve vai deva devim uptastu kasitvam mahadevi. Iti Sabravit, she replied, Aham Brahma Swarupini, Mattah Prakriti Purusatmakam Jagat, Shunyam Cha Shunyam Sa. I am everything. I am the supreme truth. In Durga Sapsati also, Bhagavati says, Ekaivaham Jagat Yatra Dutiya Kamamapara. I am the singular principle. Who else is present in this universe? I am only. So this is again the Hindu view of understanding reality, that anyone, whether it is male or female or neuter, can claim Ishwar as himself or herself. This is lacking in Semitic tradition. There only male is accepted as whatever God, Khuda, etc. This is another aspect. The third issue related with Ishwar or Brahma is that in Upanishad there are 5 types of statement. First is Utpatti Vakya. There is a process of evolution. Second, there is a sustenance, Sthiti Vakya. Third, there is a Laya Vakya. So, Yato va imani bhutani jayante Utpatti Vakya. Yato va imani bhutani yena jatani jivanti. Yat priyantya visambhisanti. So these 3 vakya are related to Utpatti, Sthiti and Laya. Fourth is Tat Srishtva Tadevanu Pravishat. When Brahma expands itself as this universe, then Brahma Pravist, Brahma already went there, already pervades each and every particle of this universe, every aspect of this universe. So that is Pravesh Vakya, Tat Srishtva Tadevanu Pravishat. And fifth, Brahma, by residing everywhere, controls everything from within. So that is Niyamana Vakya. So this is the nature of our Brahma or Ishwar, that it controls everything from within. And in this way, Brahma is known as Antaryami. So Antare Sthitva Niyam Yatiti Antaryami. This Antaryami is also a scientific principle. In modern science, now scientists are quoting this concept of Antaryami from Brihadaranyaka, from other Upanishads. Because in Newtonian science, Newton, the first law of Newton says if an object is not non-functional, it requires some external force to be in motion. It requires external force. But in quantum mechanics, in modern science, when atom was broken, then it was seen that electron is moving around the nucleus with the speed of 3 lakh kilometers per second, and it doesn't require any external force. So it is dynamic, it is coming from within. With this concept, scientists have a kind of inclination towards the Antaryami state of Brahma, that it controls everything from within. Once someone asked Einstein that, do you believe in God? Einstein replied, yes, I believe in God. Again, question was posed that what type of God? Einstein replied, I believe in that type of God which controls us from within, which controls everything from within. I do not believe in that God which is a ruler, which controls us from outside. So this kind of understanding of God or Brahma or Ishwar is again a very specific in Hindu culture, that our Ishwar or Brahma is ultimate truth. At the same time, it is in every reality, all aspects of this pluralistic reality, and by residing there, it is controlling everything from within. So this concept is also very important. This is also related with the nature, as highlighted by our previous speakers. If we see the whole universe as divine, then we have that kind of behavior with those realities. As tradition says that Jnana Purvaka Vyavahara, our worldview, our understanding of reality prompts our behavior. So if we have this kind of understanding of reality, certainly our behavior with nature, our behavior with human being, our behavior with everything of this universe is based on that divine principle. And that's why we have protected environment. We have worshipped environment. Our rivers, our mountains, our all other things are divine for ourselves. This is actually Hindu view and based on the principle of Brahma or Ishwar. Second thing, that within this nature, we have been worshipping earth as our mother. So Mata Bhumi Putroham Prithibhya. And now we all Indians worship that Mother Earth with the same spirit as worshipped by our rishis. If we relate it to the modern context, then we find that in UN Earth Charter 2000, after research on ecology and other environmental things, geology came to conclusion that the internal process of this earth is not different from the outer manifestation of earth. All plants, all things on this earth are nothing but the manifestation of internal process of the earth. And finally, it was concluded that internal and external process, in other words, internal process and external manifestation of earth is identical. And after that, a committee was constituted by UNO, and finally they came with this conclusion that earth is alive. And then Earth Charter 2000, UN Earth Charter 2000 was declared. So we can visit that website. The preamble, the first line of preamble says that Earth, our home, is alive. Now in 20th century, this was decided by an authorized body that Earth is alive. But in Hindu tradition, it was realized by seers that our earth is alive and it is our mother, and we must worship, we must take care of this earth as we take care of our mother, other human beings. So this is another scientific aspect of our tradition. It is so because, as we are talking of, that our tradition is based on experience. It was founded by rishis, and rishis are nothing but the person who experienced the reality directly. ऋषि दर्शनार्थ, जिसने इस संसार को स्थूल सूक्ष्म कारण और परम सत्य को जिसने साक्षात देखा है, उसको ऋषि कहते हैं. So this is what this tradition is matching with science or the scientific conclusions. Another very important issue is the Praman Parampara, as highlighted by our previous speaker, that we believe everything in a very scientific manner. So we have developed a Praman Parampara. Praman is nothing but the process through which we arrive at truth. And we have 6 pramanas, maximum 6 pramanas: Pratyaksh, Anuman, Upaman, Shabd, Arthapatti, and Anupalabdhi, all as pramanas. And through that pramanas, we analyze everything properly and we finally conclude and we acquire valid knowledge. So this Praman tradition is very important. And through this Praman tradition, as Praman said, Pramanam tu yatha bhut vastu vishaikam. Praman is that through which we understand the reality as it is. So this Praman tradition is very much scientific, and we must know, we must understand this tradition, and we have a very long tradition. We have many books written on this Praman issues. This Praman issues also prompts the Vad Parampara, the debate tradition. Debate tradition is the heart of Indian culture, heart of Hindu tradition. We believe in debate, we believe in dialogue. Our whole Shastric tradition is based on dialogue. We all know that Upanishadic literature is nothing but dialogue itself. Bhagavad Gita is 100% based on dialogue. So this Vad Parampara, this is a technical term of this tradition, and that is known as Vad. In the 16 categories of Nyaya philosophy, Vad is one of the categories. And Vad means Tattva Bubhutsu Katha Vadaha. A dialogue, a sambad through which we arrive at truth. This is Vad. Second is Jalpa. Bijigisu Katha Jalpaha. When two scholars are debating, and through that debate, they arrive at truth. That is Jalpa. So this is known as Katha. In Katha, there is a Purupaksh, there is an issue, Vishay. Then there are doubts because so many groups are understanding that issue in different way. So there is a Sangshay. Then there is a Purupaksh. Then Uttarpaksh, Siddhanta Paksh. And then there is a Sangati everywhere. There is a coherence everywhere. One issue is related with other issue. Other is related with others. In this way, there is a Vad Parampara, the debate tradition in India. And in this Vad Parampara, Hindu developed so many methods through which they protected Shastra, they protected knowledge, they interpreted knowledge, they analyzed knowledge. And those methods are Sutra. So we produce Sutra text in this whole universe for the first time. In Brihadanyak Upanishad 2.4.10, Rishi says that Yajur Rigved, Yajurved, Atharved, Samved, then Itihas, Puran, Sutra, Upanishad, Vidya, Vyakhyan, Anuvyakhyan, all are the manifestation of the same truth. So Sutra, very precisely, when you put forth your thought very precisely, very scientific, in nutshell, that is Sutra. Then Bhashya, you elaborate that Sutra, you establish your own theory, that is Bhashya. Then Vartik, you criticize. Ukta nukta duruktanam chinta yatra pravartate. You analyze what has been stated, you analyze what has not been stated, and you analyze what has been stated wrongly. So Vartik, then Tika, then Sangraha. There are so many modes of interpretation through which you understand reality, through which you protect your knowledge tradition. So this all includes Vad tradition. This is very specific thing in Hindu darshan. Karma Siddhant. Karma Siddhant is the unique feature of Hindu. Because we believe in karma, We do not believe in rest. Because as Vivekananda says, our Ishwar doesn't rest. Because Hindu tradition is a dynamic tradition. Their evolution process is dynamic process. It never takes rest. So we believe in cyclic process. We start from some point and again meet that point. Again we move. So not in linear time, in cyclic time, in cyclic process. So Srishti Lay. This is cyclic process and there is no rest. So this depends upon karma. Bhartrhari rightly says, Brahma yen kulal banni amito brahmand bhandodare in Niti Satak. Vishnu yen dasavatar gahane kshipto mahasankate. Rudro yen kapal pani putke bhikshatanam karita. Suryo brahmyati nityamev gagne tasmai namah karmane. I salute to that karma which prompts Brahma to create this universe, prompts Vishnu to sustain this universe, prompts Shiv to make it in dissolution, a state of dissolution or lie. So karma is the essence of our Hindu tradition, and this karma is explained in Bhagavad Gita elaborately. We know, if we analyze the whole karma theory, Bal Gangadhar Tilak says Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu philosophy of ethics or the Karma Yoga Shastra. Bhagavan Krishna says there are 4 layers of human being related with karma. First is akarma. Akarma means akarma is related with those persons which are in idle state, which do not want to do anything, to perform anything. Though they sleep, they eat, they do everything, but they think that we are not doing anything, we don't want to do anything. That is the state of akarma. Then sakam karma, the higher state is sakam karma, the action with result in mind. Then the niskam karma, the action just for the welfare of society, not keeping result for himself or herself in mind. And then the naiskarma bhav, when you realize the truth, you become truth. And if you become truth, then no action. You do everything, but there is no action. So this whole karma theory actually is the specific thing in Hindu darshan. Hindu darshan also explains the dharma. Dharma has been explained by our previous speaker, but just I want to speak 1 or 2 minutes on this issue. Actually, dharma is the essence of Hindu culture, and as we know, first dharma is known as the rit, the cosmic principle. Dharma is the cosmic principle. When Purush Sukta says, the last mantra of Purush Sukta, Yagyena yagyama yajanta devas tani dharmani prathamanyasan. This is rit, this is cosmic principle, which sustains the whole universe. Then dharma as the state law. We study our Dharma Sutra, one of the 6 Vedangas, the Kalpa. Dharma Sutra deals with the state law. So that state law should be in tuning with the cosmic law. Then the family, the duty, you say duty or dharma, the family, the society, which is also run by dharma, and then individuals dharma. From morning to evening, we have to do something. So all these things actually constitute dharma and dharma dharanat. Dharanat dharma ityahu dharmo dharayati praja yasya dharan sanjukta sa dharma iti nischita. Mahabharata says. Adi Shankaracharya also says very beautifully in the preface of Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, Jagatah sthiti karanam praninam cha abhyuday nisreyas hetu sa dharma. Dharma is that which sustains the whole universe, sustains the earth, sustains society, sustains individuals. That is dharma. So dharma is very important thing, and that can never be translated as religion. So I think though we are very much habituated with using English term, but technical term, if we can use technical terms as it is, I think that will denote the proper meaning of Hindu darshan. Hindu darshan also make a balance between Abhyuday and Nishreyas. We know our rishis have concluded the 4 goals of life, and those 4 goals of life have been divided into 2 major parts, Abhyuday and Nishreyas. So each one of us should have Abhyuday. We can earn, we can achieve worldly things, because that those things are essential for our sustenance. That is dharma, artha, kam. We should know all principles. We should earn money. We should fulfill our desires. But earning money and fulfillment of desires should be controlled by dharma, by rules. Government sanctioned rules, society sanctioned rules. So that will make us happy. So this is very much highlighted by our rishis. But at the same time, rishis say that these things, Abhyuday Paksh of our life, is changeable. Tad yathe karma chito lokakshiyate evameva mutra punya chita lokakshiyate. The rishi of Chandogyopanishad say, whatever you earn, whatever worldly things you acquire, that is changeable. That is change. That should be kept in mind. And you must train your mind in this way that your mind can accept the changeable aspect of nature. So that whenever everything goes out of your control, whether it is money, whether it is prestige, yes, pratishtha, other things, even your body, then you must be prepared to sustain yourself and sustain yourself with the same happiness. So this requires the Nishreyas aspect of reality. So this is the Hindu view, that we have to grow with our worldly things, but at the same time, we have to train our mind to detach from those things. And in this way, we must be happy forever. So this is a very important thing. And in Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 yoga, though there are 18 yoga. Each chapter has named as a separate yoga, but those 18 yoga have been actually concluded with 4 yoga, and those 4 yoga have been explained in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th slok. That is Jnana Yoga, Abhyas Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Karma Yoga. So again, we have option with our an inherent property, with our inherent inclination. Any of the paths can be chosen, and through which one can reach the same truth. So this is also very important. Hindu by nature is a welfare oriented mind, because since we see divinity everywhere, so this thought Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam comes automatically. No other culture has this kind of a statement. In Rigved, Yatra Vishwam Bhavatyek Nidam, the whole universe is a ghosla, nest, and we live together. Sangachadvam, Sambadadvam, Sambhomanangsi Janatam. We think together, we should think together, we should live together, we should go together, we should take decision together. This kind of understanding, because the whole pluralistic universe is the manifestation of the same truth. In this way, as a brother and sister by nature, naturally are related with each other because they are the offspring of the same parents. Similarly, everything is the manifestation of same truth. In this way, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is in our gene, in our whole tradition. So all are our kutumba, and if all are our kutumba, then they must be happy. So sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya. This is our very important thing. World requires this thought, because we know what is going on. The domination, the power, everything. Indian knowledge is related with tyag, related with vairagya. Jnanasya parakastha vairagyam. This is our statement. If you have knowledge, vairagya should increase proportionally. Generally, in Semitic view, knowledge is related to power and power to domination. Our knowledge is related to tyag to lok sangrah, tyag to welfare of society. So these are the issues, and so many other issues. Just I want to conclude that in modern science, many of the scientists are very much inclined towards our Hindu philosophy, Hindu Shastra, because in experiment they are finding conclusions very much similar to the conclusions given by our rishis. So I think this should be understood properly. Hindu culture, Hindu sabhyata. Just 1 minute. When we are equipped with this kind of worldview, this is the Sanskriti of Hindu. Through example, if we can understand, in the 6th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, there is a example of gold and ornaments. So gold is singular, but there are many ornaments out of this gold, and they are plural. There are different names and forms. But if we looking at from gold's point of view, then there is everywhere gold. All ornaments are nothing but gold itself. But if we are looking at from external point of view, uniforms point of view, then ornaments are different from each other. So gold takes different form. Forms are changeable, but gold remains the same. Similarly, the thought, the understanding, the whole worldview of Hindu, the essence of Hindu understanding is singular, is same, but in different context, it takes different forms. This is actually relationship between Shruti and Smriti. Smriti is the contextual interpretation of the universal value enshrined in Veda. So there are many Smritis, because Smritis are interpreting that universal value in different contexts. Similarly, we have different type of dress, different types of understanding behavior, that is Sabhyata aspect of Hindu. But we wear jeans, or we wear dhoti, or we wear another thing, we remain the same, with same values, same understanding with for nature, for human being, for other things. So I think this is Hindu way of understanding reality, Hindu behavior, and finally Hindu darshan. And we have to understand it properly. We have to apply it in our day-to-day life. And through this philosophy, through this darshan, we can also help others which are totally lacking all these things at global level. I think that can only solve so many problems the world is facing. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Namaskar.
Sir, it was indeed an enlightening experience for many of us to listen to you to talk about, in a very simplistic manner, in very simple terms, on fundamentals of Hindu darshan. May I say that with the help of grammar, from the literary perspective too, you had thrown light on various dimensions of Hindu perspective. Simple terms were explained by you in a very eloquent manner. The background which you brought with the help of Newtonian science, quantum mechanics, and then again, the way in which you explained that how the world of science today is looking at Hindu religion, is looking at Hindu philosophy rather, as well as Hindu religion, to have an understanding of the functioning, the mechanics of the functioning of the universe itself is something that we have to take cue from and start working in this particular direction. Your thoughts, which you have expressed to us, have given us a lot to think about, has answered many of the questions, as well as have given us a direction in which we should be doing our research in the coming years to come. Very well, you have brought out the interrelation between man and nature, expressing the divinity, which is a fundamental concept of Hinduism. And when you spoke about the United Nations Charter 2000, wherein they declared that Earth is very much alive, and when we speak about the Hindu tradition and the Hindu seers, they do state the same thing. I recollected the lessons which we were taught in science. Many of us will also recollect how Jagdish Chandra Bose says that plants are living things, and then with the help of science, when he speaks about it. So this is a fundamental truth or a way of life which Hinduism has for generations together, wherein we have been right from our childhood spoken, said that we do not touch the plants while in the evening as they are sleeping at that point of time. So these are the wisdoms, these are the lessons that is a part and parcel of our religion. As far as ecology is concerned, environmental concerns are concerned, we have always been practicing reduce, recycle, reuse every now and then. A simple cloth when it wears and tears, तो उसकी तो बत्ती भी बना दी जाती है और फिर उससे काम लिया जाता है. So this wisdom that you have pointed out of the Hindu philosophy is something which is very very important. And from a seminar perspective, not only from the seminar perspective, but even from the research perspective, you have raised many important questions. Thank you so very much for accepting our invitation, for gracing the occasion, and for your eloquent talk. Thank you very much.
मैडम, मैं अनुमति चाहूंगा, मेरी एक मीटिंग
जी
है,
सर,
तो
जी
मैं
सर, बिल्कुल
जी नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्ते. The next speaker that we have for today is Professor Shubhada Joshi. It is a proud moment for me to introduce my teacher, the former head of the Department of Philosophy, University of Mumbai, who has taught. In fact, when we speak of University of Mumbai teachers, philosophy teachers, then Almost all of us have, we have graduated or we have grown under her love and care. Her specialization is in Arthashastra, Indian philosophy, ethics, metaethics, saint philosophy and bhakti, intercultural and interreligious philosophy, philosophy of 19th century Maharashtra. She has a long teaching experience, a research guide, wherein she has guided as many as 27 students who have completed her PhD under her guidance. And I know many of them too. And each one of them is carrying forward the legacy of Professor Shubhata Joshi. She has many books to her credit. The books highlights her research tradition, and it is her books are on perspectives of Maharashtra, cultural intellectual contribution. She has edited many volumes too. She has written a book, Women in Ancient and Medieval India, Lokayata, a critical study, Sri Aurobindo and Vedic interpretation, Buddhism in India and abroad, J. Krishnamurti and early Buddhism, and she has also hosted the she has hosted many seminars and conferences too. She has many as 50 national and international research articles to her credit. She has by she has graced many bodies within the University of Mumbai as well as outside the University of Mumbai. She has been the member of various panels for philosophy in India. She has also been the chairperson of the Research Ethical Committee of Hindustan Lever from 1996 onwards. So it's not only in the academic domain that her wisdom is being sought, but even in the corporate world, we find that Dr. Professor Shubhata Joshi is a much sought name for her way, for her insights. She has been the chairperson of the Board of Studies at different universities of India, along with the University of Mumbai. She has been invited for various presentations at international and national level. She has represented India and taken the subject knowledge of philosophy at the International Forum, so at the World Philosophy Congress, Istanbul, World Philosophy Congress at South Korea, Seoul, and various other at Paris, at various other places from time to time. She has also been the member of administrative bodies of of the University of Mumbai, as well as of different committees within University of Mumbai, as well as different universities. Her most important contribution, along with her academic, is the administrative one. When I was a student of the philosophy department, it was a one-person department. And today it is 8-person department along with many more chairs, many more seats to be filled in. So the visionary that she started 10 certificate and diploma courses. And along with that, we find that the number of students during her time was somewhere around 50, but today it has risen to more than 250 PG research students and 700 to 900 part-time students of add-on courses. It's a lesson for all of us that how we can contribute to the development of the department. She indeed is a role model when we think of how we can enhance the department at the national and international level. She has also organized many seminars, conferences, workshops, talks, resource refresher courses, public lectures, and she has many prestigious invites to her credit. Ma'am, I'm really blessed that you have been my teacher, and I invite you to deliver your talk. Thank you so very much, Professor Shubhata Joshi. Ma'am, are you able to unmute yourself? Please make her as the host so that she may be able to unmute herself.
Ma'am, name please.
I said, please make her as the host. Please make Professor Shubhata Joshi as the host so that she can unmute herself.
Yeah, she's host. Yes.
Ma'am, are you able to unmute yourself now, ma'am?
I'll just try.
Yes, ma'am, you are. Yes. but your video is not visible. So please click.
For video also, I'm clicking, but I'm not able to. Just a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
What I have to do? Wait a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
My microphone is again unmuted. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I am able to hear you, but we are unable to see you. So in case if it's
Yeah,
possible for us to make as a host, co-host is
yeah,
difficult to.
make me host. Yeah, that's correct. Make me host, and then
Yeah.
I'll be able to.
Yes, then you will be able to. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
yeah,
you are the host now.
yeah. So now I'll start my video, and
Yes,
so
now you are visible to us. Good to see you, ma'am.
okay. Just a minute. Just a minute.
Ma'am, you. Yes, 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 yes. Perfect. Ma'am, you are on mute. Ma'am, you are on mute. Unmute yourself, ma'am. Yes, now it's yes. Again, you have gone on mute. Yes.
Yeah, it's.
Huh.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes. We are.
Okay, okay. So, Dr. Namita, sorry, I should address you as Professor Namita. Thank you very much. I'm very glad that now you also have joined Professor Skedder. We have been meeting on in telephonic conversations, but visual congratulations.
Thank you so
I'm
very
extremely grateful to Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Suhas Pednekar, Pro Vice Chancellor Dr. Ravindra Kulkarni for giving me this opportunity, participating in this very prestigious event. Also, I congratulate Professor Ravikant Sangurde, who is heading CHS, and our own colleague from the department, Professor Narayan Gadde, Professor Ravikant Sangurde as the director, and Professor Gadde as the deputy director for the center CHS. And I wish that under the guidance of these two and joining hands by the faculty of Bombay University, the center will definitely flourish. So with these words, and of course, all my good wishes and sincere thanks to both of you, Namita and Uma Shankar. She was there in the morning, and Namita, you have been doing it extremely well.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, yeah. Now I begin much part of my presentation seems has been covered. I'll be speaking on.
Ma'am, you have again gone on mute.
It is the conceptual framework of ecology, and which also culminates into spirituality and finally into peace. One important concept which covers all the three domains is the concept of Rita, about which the earlier speaker also referred. Rita, that is the order, and the order is of two types. Rita Mahan, that is the natural order, the cosmic order, which is there in the outer world, and the other, which is connected with the inner peace, that is the moral order. So Rita Mahan is the cosmic order, and the Rita, which is the inner one, that is spirituality or peace. It is connected with the moral order. It is also at times equated with Satya. Rita, which later on has developed into Dharma. The earlier speaker has elaborated this particular point. I think that when we start looking at these concepts, these are the basic foundations of Hindu view of life and Hindu way of living, which occur in Vedas and Upanishads. As old as Rig Veda and the earlier Upanishads, and the earlier scholars have already referred to all this. So what actually Rita is? Rita, the very important concept is to be understood as the cyclic nature which operates at the outer level, and it also operates at the inner level. That is the cosmic world, the cosmic order, the cyclic nature which is seen in nature itself, that is Srishti. For example, seasons, they are operating in a wheel, that is the regularity which is there. One after another, the seasons, they follow. In the human life also, there is a cycle of birth, growth, and death. And then again there is birth, because it is the Hindu view of life which believes in rebirth. And also, when we look at the environment, in the environment also we see the circular nature, or the wheels which are in operation. For example, the wheel of oxygen and the wheel of carbon dioxide. We have studied about all these when we were the school students. So what is the significance of this concept of Rita? The concept of Rita, it indicates that the interdependence is very much there. Just as the small wheel of the machine is very important, and similarly, the small wheel enables the big wheel to move. The significance of a small wheel also cannot be denied. So the interdependence of this wheel, the chakra, the Srishti chakra, is very significant. And Rita Mahan, that is the cosmos, the universe, or we may call it Vishwa. So we are part and parcel of Vishwa. And even though the small we are, the smallest than the smaller we are, but still our existence is very much important. Why is it that the role played by we as human persons is important? Because according to the Vedas and the Upanishads, the moral order of Rita is very, very crucial, is very, very significant, very important. It is following the moral order. And this moral order, which ought to be followed by each and every human person, irrespective of all the differences. Vedas and Upanishads never say that the moral order is to be followed only by a particular sect or those who believe in this particular, on these principles, or those who follow these rituals. Nothing of that sort, but it is said that whosoever is born as human person has to follow the moral order in order to support the cosmic order. So every human person has to follow that order, and that is actually how we come at the very logical and conclusive position that all human persons, irrespective of the apparent differences, are same because they have to follow the moral order. So, following the moral order, which is must for every human person, why? And there, the reply given is that only human persons are endowed with intelligence, consciousness. We may call it buddhi, we may call it chit, the self-awareness, and the ability to express that, and along with that, the ability to realize the potentials of the consciousness. That is gifted to human person. So human person has all the potentials. And in all the potentials, what is important is buddhi. Actually, buddhi many times is translated as intelligence. But I prefer buddhi translated as consciousness. Some of the Sankhya texts, when they translate buddhi, this particular translation, the translators have used this particular word, consciousness. Human persons, along with intelligence, are given this self-awareness. Self-awareness, that is ego, me, and the Sanskrit word aham. And this self-awareness also at times is selfishness. And that selfishness, the self-awareness and selfishness, we may use the English word ego. Many times, ahankara, that is ego. Ahankara is also translated as self-awareness. Aham, ego. And that ego turns into selfishness because intelligence or the capacity to think about future and the desire to make the future more and more secure makes us, those who have family and those who are not the sages, they tend to become slightly to some extent selfish. So violation of natural order is possible only and only by human persons because animals are not endowed with this type of me and mine, ahankara, ego. And they are not gifted with the intelligence, the type of consciousness which the human person has. And they more or less, even though they may have some sort of intelligence, because these days many experiments are done to find out about the content of consciousness and the level of intelligence. But of course, human person is given the capacity to think about future, and we all have witnessed the progress which human persons have made using science and technology. So, what is very important is that the violation of natural order is possible by human persons. And therefore, human persons in the Indian tradition, in the Hindu way of life, are told in the Vedas and Upanishads that to follow Rita, to protect Rita, one has to lead a life based on rinas, that is the debt. Each and every human person is born with the rinas and the debt towards the parents, the debt towards the teachers, that is Matru Pitru Rana, then Guru Rana or Rishi Rana. Now, the type of runas which are told, why is it that we are indebted, or why is it that we have to pay these debts back, the human persons? That is because continuity of human race is to be maintained. And continuity of human race is very, very significant, because there are so many natural calamities. And if the human species are threatened by the calamities, and maybe man-made or calamities due to nature, the continuity of human race, if at all, is threatened, then what will happen to the culture? What will happen to the progress? And what will happen to the efforts which human persons, the sages, the wise people have made, all the efforts to realize the potential which we have, and that is from humanity to divinity. So continuity of human race is very, very significant, and therefore Matru Pitru Rana, it means that one has to establish a family after marrying. So marriage is essential, and also family, and starting a family, taking the responsibility of family is also very important. And then it is, why is it that continuity of human race is of significance? Because so many great acharyas, so many learned teachers, and so many divine sages, they have created the treasure of knowledge. The world of knowledge is created by human persons, and therefore human persons must continue with the world of knowledge, add to the world of knowledge, study the world of knowledge, enhance the world of knowledge, and therefore human persons, continuity of human race must be there. So to pay the debt of the teacher, that is significant. And Guru as the spiritual master, the guidance of a Guru as a spiritual master is very significant, very important, because it is only in human life there is a possibility to become divine. And it is through the capable guidance of the capable Guru, the spiritual master, that such thing is possible. And therefore, what is very important is that we have to pay back the runas, and what we have to work in order to pay the debts is we have to adopt the duty-centric approach towards life. The scriptures, right from Vedas, the Upanishads, they advocate the duty-centric approach of life and kartavya kendri drishti, kartavya. And till the first half of the 19th century, till the British education was introduced in the country, the Indian diaspora, or the Indian citizens as such, or I may say very clearly the Hindu population, was totally unaware of the concept of right as such. And what the scholars of Sanskrit say, that there is no word equivalent to the word right in Sanskrit. So it is a lifestyle, it is a philosophy of life which advocates for duty centricity, which advocates for deontological perspective, and it never ever recommends hedonistic approach. We do not live for happiness. We can't have our right as enjoyment. Enjoyment cannot be the right of a human person who is born here. And that is why Upanishads say, Tena tyaktena bhunjithaha. When everyone sacrifices, then maybe others enjoy. But if everyone starts enjoying, then who will contribute towards the nature, who will contribute towards all the social institutions and their significance. So, life is meant for duties. It is meant to save the cosmic order, to protect the Panchabhutas, and this is well expressed by two important principles. One is the principle of gratitude, and another is the principle of apology. We express gratitude for everything. Right from the Panchamahabhutas we may start, and therefore we may say that Samudra Vasane Devi Parvatastana Mandale Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam Padasparsham Kshamaswam. When we get up from our bed and before putting our feet on the earth, we say that, oh, now we will be walking. Now, in order to live, we will be using, oh, Mother Earth, at times we may hurt you, but then we apologize. And we apologize with all the sincerity. Now, this apology keeps us reminding that we cannot consume and we cannot ever be spendthrift while using the natural resources. Similarly, when it comes to water, we know that in India, rivers are considered as mothers because they are the life forces, and whichever is enhancing the life, the human life, is always equated with mother. But this is a way of expressing gratitude. It is of the Panchamahabhutas when it is water, and the gratitude is expressed. The rivers are called Mother, Ma, when it is Ganga Maya or maybe Narmada Maya. And in Rigveda, there are so many suktas on river Saraswati. So I remember one story which I have read regarding Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And Swami Vivekananda, who is the disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, along with his Guru Bandhu, was taking dip in the river, and they were all very young, and therefore they were enjoying taking bath in the river, and some masti. But then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa called all of them and said, well, you are really troubling your mother. So when you have to take a dip in the river, you have to keep in mind that you are actually in the lap of your mother and you don't have to really trouble your. So this is the attitude, and this attitude we always have. That is why when we visit the banks of Ganga, the water of Ganga for us is a tirtha, is very precious. Those who don't consider or those who don't support this particular perspective, and those who treat the water of river as any ordinary water, they don't hesitate in spoiling the water or making it dirty or contaminated. But take a villager who has a faith in the principles of way of living advocated by the Hindu tradition. Even a river which is not very famous, a smaller than the smallest river which is providing water to the village, for the villager, that river is like as great as River Ganga or as great as Mother. And the villager considers it as Tirtha. So the gratitude towards the Mahabhutas, the gratitude towards the cattle, the cows, the bulls. And there are festivals where cows are worshipped, and there are festivals when bulls are worshipped. And these festivals actually are the way of expressing our gratitude towards these animals, that because we could domesticate them, the life has become really very easy, full of some comforts. But we owe a lot to these cows and also bulls, that agriculture and provision of milk and milk products, all this is possible. And that is why cows are also considered as Gomata. Bulls also are worshipped. There are specific days mentioned in the calendar where the bulls are not given the work, but they are provided with all sorts of good food and rest. Not only this, but there are illiterate, non-consumerist masses, and they understand the significance or the importance of the cattle. Even though the bull becomes old, instead of sending it to the slaughterhouse, they still maintain and keep the bull in the house and treat the bull or the cow like a family member. So, similarly, the trees are worshipped. Maybe worship of the banyan tree or worship of any other tree. The trees are worshipped so much so that in Rig Veda, the sage says, before cutting a twig of a tree, that please allow me, because I am going to hurt your branch. And I'm cutting this. I'm cutting this because I want to use it for some Devakarya. The trees are worshipped is so significant, and it has come down to us directly or indirectly. And here I remember one story which Vinoba Bhaveji has narrated. When he was in the ashram of Mahatma Gandhi ji, Mahatma ji has told him to pluck some datuns in the early morning. And Vinoba ji had to go in search of the datuns early morning, 3 o'clock, 3:30, and then pick up some datuns and give it to Mahatma ji. Once what happened is, he thought that let me collect as many datuns as possible, and therefore he collected quite a few twigs and thought that maybe another 8-15 days, so many of these can be cut into different pieces and can be made datuns, so that I may not have to get up early and collect 1 or 2 or maybe 3 such twigs. When he reported Mahatma ji about this, and he put it in front of Mahatma ji, the whole bunch, Mahatma ji was very angry. Gandhiji, he said, I never knew that you are so overworked, and also that you have become lazy. If you have told me, I would have given this work to somebody else. Why is it that you troubled the tree so much and plucked the twigs and tortured the plants? दातून उठाने के लिए अगर इतने कष्ट है, I would have told somebody else. And what is the guarantee that either you or me will be alive after next day, or maybe another 6 days or 5 days or 8 days? So this whole thing will go waste. And nature is very important, and we don't have to be really spendthrift. So don't harm the trees, the plants. Somebody earlier also has already mentioned about the scientific experiments and Jagdish Chandra Bose's contribution to this. So the trees and the plants, which are the source of our food, our clothing, and they also make the air pure, they also provide material for housing, and therefore there has to be gratitude towards this. We have a concept of Devarai. The concept of Devarai, it means that a particular portion of land which is kept for grazing, and that land is never made available for building houses or any other type of institutions. That land is very, very clearly maintained for cattle's graze, and also for trees, the huge trees like the banyan tree or maybe the peepal tree, the trees which will purify the air and maintain the cyclic nature of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So what is very important is that these concepts, the concept of Ruta and the concept of Rina, as well as this gratitude and apology. I have witnessed this, the apology part of it, when we had to go to a village in Konkan area, and we were to go there for the dinner. But it so happened that during the travel, there were some problems and we couldn't reach in time. And it was almost 10 o'clock in the night, and we reached the house. And it was a house of a priest who, of course, was dependent on all other natural sources, trees and plants and agriculture. When we went to his house, he asked his wife to prepare for serving us food. And then what happened is he went to the garden carrying some rice in his hand, we call it akshata, and he offered a prayer to the banana leaves, the banana tree, because in Konkan, the food is served on the banana leaf, just as it is served in the south. So he apologized. He said that I'm sorry, I'm disturbing you. You are all asleep. But then I have to cut few leaves because the guests are there and I have to serve the food. And I was just looking at it and I was so surprised. That is why I said that these are the pillars of Hindu way of life and Hindu view of life, which are expressed in Vedas and Upanishads. How is it that this concept of Rita and Rina culminates into spirituality and peace? Because the concept of human person is very significant one. Nara is actually on the threshold. Nara, following the pleasure, pursuing the hedonistic principles, becomes Asura because he keeps on acquiring things for me and mine, full of ahankar. But the moment Nara starts working for the sake of duty, for the sake of others, working for others, irrespective of one's own happiness, there is no time that within no time, the Nara becomes virtuous and then becomes Sura. So it is always said that Bhoga will take you downwards direction, whereas Tyaga will take you in the upwards direction, and therefore Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitaha Magradha Kasyas Vittan. Actually, it is a very difficult type of lifestyle that all the time one has to really think about one's duties and at no time the pleasure. But there are many such people. Somebody has mentioned earlier Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, or for that matter, all those great personalities of India, the great sages, they worked for others and they always were governed by the principle of duty, kartavya. So what is the duty of mine towards my motherland? My duty towards my family? I have to decide about the duties. That is the approach. And this duty-centric approach gradually takes us to the Mahandrita, which governs the entire universe. And that is being with one, the entire universe. So that is why Saint Tukaram says, I'm smaller than the smallest, Anuraniya Thokada. I'm as small as the atom, Anu, but I'm as all-pervading as the ether or Akasha. Anuraniya Thokada, Tuka Akasha Yevada. As a human person who is born and who is going to die, I'm like a dust. I'm like an atom. But a person who has realized the Rita Mahan, or the order behind the universe, and is working as per the order, giving up all selfishness, is as huge as Akasha. Even the great saint of Maharashtra, Jnaneshwar, in his Pasayadana, says, he's offering the prayer to Vishwatmaka Deva, and he says that, well, the prayer is that the grace should be showered on the entire universe, on the Srishti. And not only this, but the Vishwatmaka Deva should give all or fulfill all those desires of all prani jata. It includes all living organisms. So, grace, benevolence, divine light, and the prayer is that let all these be showered on the entire world. And this is the prayer coming from the enlightened soul like Dhaneshwara. And that is how I see a relation between Rita, that is the duty centricity, Rita as the order, Rita as the empirical one and the cosmic one, and also Rita Mahan and Rita the moral order. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such an enlightening talk that you have given to us. And yes, the emphasis on duty-centric approach of life is something that should be the guiding principle for all of us. Not only humanity, the universe needs it. And this wisdom that the Hindu philosophy gives to us is somewhere being forgotten in the modern world today. The tone that you have set for discussion is indeed very important. Since we speak about it from the commerce, from the management, from the science, from the day-to-day life, the duty-centric in approach of life, the runas that you have mentioned, the emphasis of guru that has been mentioned, and how the guru can play an important, not only can play, the guru does play an important role in the functioning of an individual, in the functioning of the society, and in giving a guidance to humanity is something that has to be worked on, that has to be remembered, and that has to, that, like, the younger generation along with me, we have to really work in this direction. You also very well pointed out that how, as far as the Indian education system was concerned, prior to the, even after the invasion of Britishers and up to a certain point of time, and how it was emphasizing more towards duty and less on rights. And this here wherein I recall that when the Constituent Assembly went to meet Mahatma Gandhi, and they asked him that what is the advice that you would give to us, and Mahatma Gandhi stated that I would there's a talisman which I would like to tell you or give you, and that is that whenever you think of whatever work is being done, think of the smallest, the weakest, the last person on this planet, and find out how your action is going to help that particular individual. Even for the Constituent Assembly, he said the same thing, that that is pay emphasis on the duties, not on the rights. Ma'am, you have very, very rightly pointed out the emphasis of Rana towards the society, towards the Guru, towards the family, towards the universe, and in short, towards each and everyone who is a part of the divinity, or who is divine in itself. Thank you so very much for your words of wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Namita. Thank you so much.
We come towards the end of today's session. We had 4 important speakers who graced the session today. Each one, from their own perspective, have it was like a jigsaw puzzle, but when we bring it together, it gave us a holistic picture towards the entire wisdom, knowledge, and at the same time, it gives us a total holistic picture. I'm indebted to each and every one of them. And somewhere in each one's expression, the concern towards the environment was seen. The thing is that environment can live without us, but we can't live without the environment. And it's a recognized thing that now it like we are aware about it, but we need to work on our actions to see that how each and every one of us can contribute not towards the well-being of the environment but towards the well-being of our own self. Because if that's not the case, then generations next are definitely they have already started questioning us, but those questions, the answers which we can still give to them, or the solutions which we can still have for them, it will be difficult for us to reverse it. COVID-19 also pointed it out to this aspect, that when humankind's activities came to a standstill, we find that nature started healing itself. Nature doesn't need us, we need nature. And this concern was felt in every speaker's talk that was given to us today. We come towards the end of today's session, and the link for the next session is there in the program copy. I take this opportunity to thank the director of the center, to the deputy director, to the Vice Chancellor of University of Mumbai, Professor Suhas Pednekar, to the Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Rabindra Kulkarni, and to all my fellow colleagues as well as the technical team, without whose experience and help this particular program couldn't have been successful. I also thank the viewers on YouTube who are watching this particular session. It was being played live on YouTube. I thank each and everyone, and I request the technical team to close the session. Thank you. Thank you. We may leave now. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Namita.
Thank you, ma'am. It was such a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you very much for your kind words.
No, it's always from
You
my
did it,
heart.
yeah, you did it so nicely in comparing. Really wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. I will give you a call, ma'am, after some time. I'll call
Yeah,
you.
yeah, sure.
Do we have the technical team over here?
Yes, ma'am. Shall
Yeah,
we
we
end the
can.
meeting?
Yes, we will.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you.